publicity image copyright 2019 Fathom Events, all rights reserved, used with prior written permission to Saline Journal. Use it. Here is a large graphic dominating one of the walls in Star Trek, exploring new worlds currently at the Henry Ford, along the bottom setting out chronology of related television incarnations. 1. It starts with the original series, known simply as Star Trek, at far left, labeled 1966 to 1969. The following decade brought an animated series, conventions fueled by blooper reels, and failed development of Phase 2. 2 to 6, in the years that followed production of the last new episode in 1969, the commercial future of Star Trek was not only anything but certain, it appeared to be chaotic if not actively faltering. Star Trek, the motion picture, then, holds a place among those interested in mainstream studies of film history for having kept the essence of what it had been on the small screen and fully bridged that to financially successful theatrical releases and beyond. 7 to 15, for Star Trek fans, its September 2019 return to Imagine Theater via Fathom Events is compelling as a first since it played on screens such as those that used to be an important draw to Briarwood Mall in 1979. At that time, there was only one Star Trek movie, this was it, and it tended to be reviewed accordingly. 16,17, here's what Roger Ebert had to say about it in Chicago Sun-Times on December 7, 1979. 18, Star Trek, the motion picture is probably about as good as we could have expected. It lacks the dazzling brilliance and originality of 2001, which was an extraordinary one-of-a-kind film. But on its own terms it's a very well-made piece of work, with an interesting premise. There is, I suspect, a sense in which you can be too sophisticated for your own good when you see a movie like this. Some of the early reviews seemed pretty blasé, as if the critics didn't allow themselves to relish the film before racing out to pigeonhole it. The sentiment, it seemed, was to hold back out of some fear that any review contributing to a slide against maximized box office receipts would risk nixing the chances at taking another shot at a subsequent effort, getting something better if not great. Unencumbered by any such constraints, Den of Geek reviewed Star Trek, the motion picture 5 summers ago, and seemed to have rated it somewhere between The Search for Spock and The Undiscovered Country. That's more or less where it should be placed. 19. Fathom Events will offer 4 screenings on 2 separate dates at Imagine Theaters.